Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a literal turning point in cinematic history. We're going to look at how one single actor completely redefined the superhero genre and, quite frankly, built the blueprint for modern cinema. Before the Marvel Cinematic Universe was a household name, before every major studio was scrambling to launch their own comic book universe, there was one movie and one hero who changed Hollywood forever. And his name? Tobey Maguire. But before we even get into Tobey himself, we've got to talk about the massive contrast between Hollywood's hesitant past and its billion-dollar present. Back in the pre-2002 days, superhero films had totally mixed success. They were seen as these massive, uncertain bets, and they really struggled to lock down a mainstream audience. Fast forward to modern Hollywood, shared cinematic universes and billion-dollar investments they're the industry standard now. It's a completely different world. And the catalyst for that monumental shift is exactly what we're breaking down today. Section 1. Before the billion-dollar empires. It really all boils down to one movie, one actor, and one hero that changed Hollywood forever. We're talking about the 2002 premiere of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. When this movie dropped, practically nobody expected it to become one of the biggest films in history, but it proved once and for all that superhero flicks could be so much more than just mindless action spectacles. They could be deeply emotional, character-driven, global blockbusters. And for millions of us fans out there, the man in the suit wasn't just playing Spider-Man. He literally was Spider-Man. Section 2. An unlikely leading man. Now, Tobey's journey to the top was incredibly tough. He was born in California in 1975 to really young parents who separated early on, so his life started out with a ton of uncertainty. During his early years, instead of having a stable home, he was moving constantly between family members, and money was super tight. But actually, this rough, unstable childhood built the intense resilience he was going to desperately need to face his next hurdle, which was constant, crushing Hollywood rejection. Casting directors kept overlooking him because, well, he just didn't fit that traditional, rugged leading man mold the studios were obsessed with at the time. Things were actually so tough that his dad reportedly tried to get him to take a cooking class instead of acting, just hoping it would give his son some sort of stable career. But honestly, this brilliantly illustrates Tobey's fierce determination. He flat out ignored the safe route. He chose to pursue his dream of performing, and he absolutely wasn't going to let anyone talk him out of it. So how did he actually break through? Well, instead of relying on a stereotypical leading man look, he brought something entirely different to the table. Directors finally started noticing him because he brought this striking vulnerability, just an undeniable honesty and profound emotional depth to his small TV roles and supporting parts. And what's really cool is that these qualities were nurtured alongside his early friendship with fellow actor Leonardo DiCaprio. The two of them constantly pushed and encouraged each other with pure determination as they worked their way toward bigger, more impactful roles. Section 3. The $800 million phenomenon. The thing about Tobey is, he didn't just look like Peter Parker, he truly understood him. A ton of actors auditioned for the role, but Tobey understood Peter as this awkward, kind, intelligent kid. Remember those previous life struggles we just talked about? The uncertain childhood, the constant rejection? Well, they perfectly aligned with Peter Parker's own attempts to balance a messy, ordinary life with extraordinary responsibility. Tobey brought a wonderfully grounded human reality to a comic book character. And the result of that performance? $800 million. When the film debuted in 2002, it sent an absolute shockwave through the entertainment industry, pulling in this massive, genre-validating worldwide box office number. It was a total cultural phenomenon. Literally nobody at the time expected a comic book movie to pull in that kind of cash. The financial success was totally undeniable, but as the iconic quote goes, with great power comes great responsibility. Audiences connected just as deeply with the film's incredible emotional heart as they did with the web-swinging action. It became one of cinema's most enduring quotes because Tobey delivered it with such earnest gravity. Alongside two incredibly successful sequels, he established the absolute definitive blueprint for modern superhero storytelling. Section 4. Choosing quality over quantity. So what exactly happens after you hit the absolute top of the world? After becoming one of Hollywood's biggest stars, rather than cashing in on an endless stream of blockbusters, Tobey deliberately took a left turn. He became highly selective with his roles. He chose smaller, creatively fulfilling projects, starring in really intense dramatic films like Brothers and The Great Gatsby. He even expanded into producing. A lot of fans were left wondering why he seemed to just vanish from the blockbuster spotlight, but the answer really lies in his incredibly intentional project choices. This kind of mindset was super unusual for a massive A-list star. You have the typical Hollywood path, right? Chasing constant fame through high-visibility blockbusters. But Tobey pursued creative interest instead. He prioritized true artistic quality, sticking to selective, quality-driven projects. It was a bold, fascinating decision in an industry that is pretty much entirely driven by constant visibility. Section 5. A hero's lasting legacy. For years, this was the ultimate question on everyone's mind. Would he ever wear the suit again? The internet was literally swirling with rumors, leaks, and intense speculation about whether Tobey Maguire would ever return to the role that defined an entire generation. And then, it finally happened. Spider-Man No Way Home united three eras in an absolutely unforgettable celebration. When Tobey finally stepped back onto the screen, theaters literally erupted worldwide. And for a lot of viewers, it wasn't just nostalgia. Fans were celebrating the exact character who introduced their whole generation to superhero cinema. Tobey's return reminded everyone exactly why his version of Peter Parker is still so incredibly beloved. He left behind a true blueprint for modern heroes: relatable characters, real fears, acknowledged failures, and enduring hope. He proved to the major studios that audiences don't just want spectacular CGI action, right? We demand complex, vulnerable humanity. If a hero doesn't have real fears or failures, we just can't connect with them. Tobey's emotional depth is what actually sells tickets and creates lifelong fans. His influence is literally in the DNA of almost every superhero film we watch today. Which brings us to a really fascinating question to leave you with. Without Tobey Maguire's emotional blueprint, would today's billion-dollar superhero empires even exist? A lot of cinema historians argue that without the immense, groundbreaking success of his Spider-Man, the Hollywood landscape today would look vastly different. Some actors become famous, some become icons, but very, very few change an entire genre. It just goes to show that sometimes one single, emotionally honest performance can change an entire genre forever. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you next time.